So my trip was about 10 days in total. It began, of course, I was, to be perfectly honest, I was quite nervous about flying in. In fact, I was hoping Charlie could come with me, but this time around it wasn't possible just because of everything that Haiti is facing right now, which is, political issues, economic issues, insecurity of all sorts, gang violence, gang and police forces causing a lot of insecurity on the streets of Port-au-Prince, so forth and so on. So, but I hadn't been in a long time, and we had a lot of different activities that we were collaborating on with our Haitian partner, Racine Développement. I was hoping the program director, Louino Robillard, could join us today, but he's got family issues that he's dealing with and couldn't join us. But I organized the trip as safely as I could. I knew I had to spend about 3 days in Port-au-Prince before flying out to La Gonâve, which is where all of our work is based. And to do so, I arranged things in order to stay at the hotel closest to the airport called Serve Hotel. They arranged to pick me up, at the airport, shuttle me over, which is just a 4 or 5 minute shuttle ride away. Stay in the hotel, leaving only for a few occasions, and in fact borrowed a board member of Racine, the Haitian entity's car, which is a bulletproof car, just to kind of really play it extra safe, which is, a strange reality to have and a strange thing to need, but just the circumstances in Haiti, and, of course, personal commitments to family and just everything, right? To do everything possible to kind of organize as safe a trip as possible. What I saw down there, again, this is just really just pure observations from me, right? Is there was obviously some of the issues that I saw were access to gas. There were times even the little road between the hotel and the airport at times had an hour wait to get through the traffic because of a gas station right there and the line of cars waiting to get gas. And that you can find throughout Port-au-Prince, creating congestion and creating stressful situation for the population there. I saw life as usual to a degree. I mean, folks are out there, families, kids are walking the streets as they always do, carrying out their daily tasks. I think everybody you speak to talks about being very worried, very stressed out, and concerned about what could happen at any moment. But life needs to be lived, and life needs to be needs to move on. And so I found folks out there. It wasn't like streets were empty. There was probably, I noticed, less traffic than I've seen in the past. But otherwise, there was lots of activity and people just going about their lives in order to kind of keep things going. After a few hours of getting in, what I did was I always bring back metal art that we sell on our online store in order to help the artists there and raise funds for our projects. And those metal art pieces, I've been buying them for years now, for like 12, 13 years, directly from a set of artists that I've seen. Some of them I've seen grow up since about 12 years old in Croix-des-Bouquets. But for anybody who knows anything about Haiti right now and the insecurity, Croix-des-Bouquets is one of the bases of at least one of the major gangs down there. So that you can't go there at all. Well, I arranged it with the guys in advance. I, told them what pieces we wanted, told them to come with new creative pieces, which you can find on our online store. If you guys want to visit that afterwards. I arranged that in advance, and then they came to the hotel with all those pieces. Now I had a chance to, of course, see once again, just some of the best of Haitian art and culture, right? I mean, these pieces are amazing. They're made out of recycled oil drums, and are hand carved. I mean, hammered out with little hammers and chisels and tools, every single piece. And it's quite a thing of work. But I also got a chance to talk to these two artists that I've really seen grow up about the situation in Croix-des-Bouquets. And that was really it was the first day I arrived in Haiti. It was really kind of real direct insight into the situation down there. These guys, their whole livelihoods, as well as the whole village there in Quadra is based on selling this metal art. And they said that there's basically there's no work right now. I mean, there's no tourists obviously coming in and out of Quadra to buy stuff. And then they said even orders that they used to get before that people would be shipping out, it's gotten so complicated and so unreliable to place orders and get things shipped out that everything is dried up. They don't even create art unless they have a specific order for it. And as we were going through the art, these guys played even just a voice note for me on their phone, just middle of the day as they were creating the pieces that we have on our store for us. The gunshots that were going off, it sounded like popcorn in the background. So I mean, this and middle of the day. So these are realities, right? It's hard when you're there and you're seeing all of these activities happening as usual, knowing that this is happening around all the time. They said that there isn't a lot of issues for the population directly in Quadra. The gangs leave for the most part folks alone. It's really just folks when they get caught up in the crosshairs of the fighting between the gangs and the police. And of course, all of the other impacts, right? The ability to move around the city, the ability to get goods back and forth, the economic impact of these things. That was very real. I did notice in the airport as well that there were a lot of folks staying at the airport with me, and a lot of them seemed to be Haitian Americans visiting Haiti. They flew in. That airport, that hotel in particular, I think may be different and maybe busier because it's close to the international airport and close to the domestic airport. So what I found was it seemed like a lot of folks who came in, spent a few days, their relatives would come and visit them in Port-au-Prince, would come and visit them at the hotel. They wouldn't have to leave, and then they would actually get shuttled off to the domestic airport to shoot off to the other cities in Haiti, like Okap and Okai, Jacmel, these places that have a lot less security issues and spend time. So there are folks still visiting. The plane in and out of Haiti was almost entirely full. So it's, just sharing with you observations and kind of what I saw, what I witnessed, what I found while I was down there in terms of the reality on the ground with everything that we're reading and hearing, what it looks like on the streets and in hotels and in planes and things like that. So the second day, Saturday, when I came in, was the first day that I actually got into work-related stuff. And I'm going to share with you, if that's all right, a few kind of photos just to kind of drive home some of what I'm talking about here. These, by the way, are some of the metal art pieces some of the metal art that we have that we brought back that are just really, I mean, pretty extraordinary. You can see designs that are created and inspired by all sorts of things, every single dot you see, and all these are available on the online store. Another way for you to help raise funds for our programs and our projects. And then the first day that we all came together, the staff in Port-au-Prince, the staff based in Port-au-Prince, and then myself, we got together with a Haitian consulting firm that we're working with called Triangle Management Solutions, run by McKinley Brice, who's seen right here. This was an investment that we made in Racine last year that is continued to be worked on. They were noticing, and they understood that they were seeing the impact that they were having every day doing the work that they were doing on Lago Nav, but they were having a hard time measuring it more concretely and then demonstrating that to others in order to share, their successes and experiences, and to also kind of share, find further support, find other partners. And so we teamed up with a great consulting firm to help Racine establish a monitoring and evaluation system. It started by helping them create a theory of change to really help the team really kind of continuously focus on what is their main objective, which happens to be improving quality of life on the island of Lago Nav. But then the pieces and the objectives that need and the activities that need to take place in order to achieve those objectives to ultimately achieve its overall goal, which really are based on two things. One, strengthening the capacity, leadership skills, management, project management skills of elected officials and community leaders on the island in order to have a stronger kind of civil society and public sector able to manage and oversee and inspire development, and then actually supporting development projects, infrastructure projects, things that directly improve people's quality of life on the island. After that, we flew from Port-au-Prince to La Gonâve. This is a shot of Port-au-Prince heading out. We never usually fly, but again, for security reasons, it's too dangerous to try to head out of Port-au-Prince to go along the beach road to get up to what the town called Carriès, which is where we pick up a boat to get over to the island. There's 3 types of boats. They range between 45 minutes long to about 3 hours if it's one of the sailboats. Each with a different price and each with a different kind of objective. The sailboats tend to bring merchants and their goods, where the others bring folks who are just traveling back and forth to take care of business or visit family and friends. We instead had to charter a plane, which we do through a missionary aviation fellowship called MAF. They run flights. They're either 5-seaters or 9-seaters to different areas in Haiti. And it costs, it's a larger cost. I mean, this has been an impact, right? This is how people ask us how the insecurity and challenges in Haiti, how they directly impact the organization. Well, besides the obvious, there's also the economic impacts, right? Things that we didn't have budgeted at the beginning of the year. Each way this flight, the 5-seater costs about $350 for about 5. So it was me and the rest of the team that's based in Port-au-Prince, not on La Gonâve, that were able to fly out and head to the island. It's an extra expense. It's not out of this world. And for the safety of myself and the staff and everybody, we've been doing this way when I'm down there or when I'm not down there for the staff for about a year now, just because of the reality. Then when we arrived, we got in and met up with the team, sat down and started planning the week, which was full of different activities that we had. And here you'll see Louino Robillard, who's the program director, and Linda Paul, whose back is facing us. She is the field director. They are the staff based in Port-au-Prince who come back and forth from the island quite frequently. Andy is in charge of communications. Monica and Richard work in the field and are in communication and direct contact with the communities every day on the island. This was us going over kind of the activities for the week, as well as here's a shot of the theory of change that Triangle Management had helped them create. It's in French. We have an English version as well, but since it's theirs, the Haitian organization, not ours, it's in French here. That I believe is available and on Racine's website, if anybody wanted to kind of see the actual ins and outs of the organization, its theory of change. And I'll get into this towards the end, probably in the question and answer, but one of the things I think that is most interesting and probably could serve as a model for a lot of other partnerships between, say, international organizations and community-based organizations is what is the most sustainable and effective way that you can play a role, right? Without compromising either, leadership or compromising sustainability of efforts and things. And we've really we've always been focused on that. And since creating Racine about 5 years ago, we've really just focused entirely on what is the best way that we can allow them to do what they do best, but support that so they can do more of it. And a lot of that is behind the scenes stuff that is hard sometimes for organizations to raise funds for or find partnerships for. For example, them recognizing the need for a monitoring and evaluation system, us helping them do some research, which takes some time, using the contacts and network that we have in Haiti to identify an experienced consulting firm to get on board to help them with that, and then find the funding to help pay for that process so that they can do that, which will allow their work to be, to be measured and therefore guide them better so they can improve that work, but then also share it and demonstrate it with others to find more support and other partners. Another way, for example, is internal administrative management stuff. For example, organizing documents amongst the team so that folks can really kind of roles and responsibilities can be divided up well, and each person in their lane can be as effective as they can in their role. So these are ways that we've found kind of support-wise, besides directly providing additional support resources, materials, funding for projects, some of the projects that are being carried out by Racine and its partners. We do a lot of kind of this type of work, internal capacity building for Racine, which allows it to, again, do what it does best. The next 2 days, that evening, I'm sorry, this was really exciting for me, at least. For those of you who know us well, we have one of our biggest projects we've ever carried out since our founding ahead of us. It is the Community Leadership and Development Center. And this is basically going to be a first of its kind on the island. The island, again, just for folks who don't know, it has a population of about 85,000 people. It's pretty large. And especially when you compare it to kind of the rest of the nations or territories in the Caribbean, it's up there. I mean, it's larger than about more than half of the population sizes of the rest of the nations and territories in the Caribbean. So it's a sizable island. It's Haiti's largest island, and really a pretty extraordinary place and untapped in many ways, which has its pros and has its cons. Here are some shots of the land that you all, many of you, helped us help Racine purchase last year. This is owned by Racine Développement, who is its own legal entity, has its own board of directors, all based in Haiti, and a fully Haitian staff. They now own this property. It is, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's either 12,000 square feet or 13,000 square feet, just to give you a sense of its size. And we are currently working with a Haitian architecture firm called Moon Studio, which is run by Daniel Elie, who is an experienced architect who has been involved in the renovation or restoration of some of Haiti's most well-known landmarks and monuments, including the Citadel and others. This is really exciting. For me, it's such a source of pride to know that an architect like that, a firm like that, is connected to the island of La Gonâve, which in so many other ways is remote and isolated and forgotten and ignored. To have that really incredible kind of national entity investing in this resource that will exist on the island for generations to come, helping to be a hub of community-led development, a place to strengthen local leaders and allow for community development to be planned and organized and implemented on the island for decades, is just hugely exciting. We are finalizing the design and the budget for that now this month, and we'll soon have an idea of what it's going to look like. And well, we have an idea already, but we're waiting to finalize it before we share it, and then to start helping Racine fundraise to begin building that facility, which is really pretty exciting and something that will have an impact for a very long time on the island and serve in so many different ways. So visited, I got a chance to see the island, the land for the first time on this trip, visit it with the team. And then after that, the next 2 days, which was besides probably visiting the land of the Leadership Center for the first time, the next 2 days was spent on one of the most exciting activities during that whole week. And this involved a communal development plan. Again, I know there's a lot of different diverse folks on the call right now who are Haitian, some are Haitian American, some who know Haiti, have worked in Haiti, and then a lot who don't. So some of you may know what these are, but I'm just going to kind of give a bit of a summary of what a communal development plan is, at least in the context of Haiti. These are official plans that are created for a commune, which we would say municipality, basically, 25-year plan, which is basically a guide for development for that commune. It should be a community-led process where you have the mayor is involved, local authorities, elected officials are involved, representatives of the private sector are involved, public sector, civil society, community leaders come together to look at the commune as a whole, share what resources it has, what its greatest needs are, where its opportunities lie, and create a communal development plan that is then, it follows an official template and is then shared with the ministry for edits and for any changes that need to take place in order for it to be an official document that the municipality can use from there on out. And this is again one of the probably the most impactful ways that we have supported at least the elected officials of La Gonâve. The mayor back in, I think it was 2017, shared this. He shared the challenges that he was facing to attract certain partners, get some of the ministries to pay greater attention to the commune, to the municipality, and also direct and guide organizations and charities, NGOs and charities, the few that do exist on the island, to guide them better, to be more responsible and to focus on the greatest priorities of the commune versus what they have greatest interest in. And so in 2017, he shared this. Some of you may have met him. He was actually attended one of our annual events a few years back. He shared with us this goal that he had before he left office to get a communal development plan done for the island, which would be the first for the island. Well, we followed up with an organization called the Pan American Development Foundation, worked hard to get them out to the island, invited them, and finally got them to come out to the island. And after coming out to the island, introducing them to the mayor and the deputy, got them to include Ansagale, which is one of the two communes that make up the island, into a USAID-funded project to create the communal development plans for 15 or 16 communes throughout Haiti. And just in May, it was formally approved by leadership on the island, this 25-year plan. It's a 300 and something page document, really substantive, with really great, guidance and direction and analysis and history of the municipality. And an incredible tool to be used by the mayor's office, by the committee in charge now, and by organizations like ours, like Roots, like Racine, like members of groups of diaspora who are investing in La Gonâve and trying to help the municipality develop. It is with the ministry, and still we're waiting for them to formally approve it so that it's 100% official. But in the meantime, with the challenges that we face in Haiti right now, and not knowing how long that may take, we are proceeding with this. And Racine organized a 2-day workshop with the community, with our Agents of Change, which is part of our program called the Trois Roches d'Ife. We support that Racine implements. That is representatives of each of the communal sections that form the commune, the two communes of La Gonâve, with local elected officials, the Kazakhs and Azaks, with the mayor's office, and with members of the, I think it's called the Committee for the Development, Communal Development Committee. That's the entity that is responsible now for implementing the communal development plan. Well, we worked with them to organize 2 days of workshops in order to share with the population what was in the plan, what is the plan, why it exists, how big of a deal it is, that it's 25-year development plan, how it's formed, how it's broken up, the information that exists in it. This is an image of the mayor. These were banners that were put up throughout Ansagale to invite folks there. This was the images from the actual workshop. Folks presented on the plan. And then there was a period of breakout session where basically it was questions of what are the different ways that diverse actors can and should be involved in implementing this development plan. What often happens with these plans, unfortunately, is that they are produced because there's funding behind it and an organization responsible for developing them. And then once they're developed, they sit in the desk drawer of a mayor or of whoever, and don't get implemented. And we are determined to help Racine, the mayor's office, the committee, and the population of La Gonâve implement ours, at least components of it. Racine's own work that we support is already carrying out some of the objectives in the plan, but we want it obviously to go way beyond us and to be at the really the communal level, involving everybody from international organizations, community-based organizations, agents of change that we work with, mayor's office, ministries, diaspora groups, all of these different actors that can play a role in implementing this. It was a really powerful and exciting 2 days of workshops that was, I think, hugely beneficial, and just the beginning of a longer process to implement this. And throughout what we're because this is our mission and what we do, we, along with Racine, we weave throughout every meeting, workshop, gathering, activity we do, we always weave out that this concept of development without dependency, right? Community-led development, to ensure that these efforts are always being led by the very folks they are meant to serve, versus international organizations that come in sometimes with foreign labor, foreign resources, foreign materials, foreign incentives to get stuff done, and then once that process is done, leave things behind without much ownership or perhaps resources, sustainability, things like that. 2 days of really phenomenal gathering of a lot of different leaders and actors around that have an impact on the development of the island. One of the I mentioned the main program that we fund, that we support Racine with, is a program that they came up with about 3 years ago. It's kind of their overall arching program. It's called Trois Roches d'Ife, and it basically talks about the three kind of actors that have an influence on development in a given area, right? That's basically the private sector, the public sector, and civil society. And within civil society, or within those three main groups, you have sectors of the population, right? That play a role in one way or another, or can or should. Women, for example, women leaders, as well as youth, young folks. And so one of our newest programs that we're supporting through Racine is a youth program. And what Racine has done is they've brought together relatively young leaders who have talents on the island, and coming and getting young folks together around things that are really interesting for them to do. In this case, creating jewelry and art together, while talking about what it means to kind of live on La Gonâve and challenges that they face, and kind of ways to look at life and kind of have a conversation. It starts out, Racine invites people in the population, talks to their parents first, and then invites the kids to come with their parents every so often for these activities. And it's one way to kind of to engage young folks from the beginning in order to kind of hope for leaders in the future, right? Starting them early, and also try to give young kids activities that will prevent them from, perhaps when, with the lack of other opportunities, make decisions that will create challenges in their own lives if the wrong decisions are made. So this is a new program that was just started. One of those activities happened while I was down there. It was pretty neat to see play out. And then towards the end of the trip, what we did is we did a field visit. We did a field visit to visit communities, either directly with our support or without our support yet, have taken the initiative to tackle some pretty big projects to leverage the population in their community, to leverage folks who have left their community, who are living abroad, to participate in addressing a major need that the community has been witnessing. And on the last few days, we went up into the mountains and visited 3 of those projects, which are really inspiring, some of which we have teamed up with more directly, some of which we have provided funding for, both to help them progress, like others are helping to fund them, but also to really just encourage and to promote. We share news of those projects, both Roots here in the States and Racine through the Haitian community, news and pictures and images and stories of these major initiatives and big infrastructure that's being built by communities coming together themselves in an area of a country that faces obviously, tremendous challenges in its own right, but in a place, an island like La Gonave that is isolated and remote, and doing it themselves. And so I just want to kind of highlight 3 of these projects, and then I really want to give a chance to open up for some questions. I was hoping, again, Luino was going to attend so he could talk on behalf of Racine, talk about some of the details of some of these projects. But this is one. This is a before and after here. This is a public library that is being built. This was kind of the initial kind of just, community library that was being used, wooden box with some benches, books were being kept in there. And then this woman, her name is Erica.
You're not sharing your screen, Chad.
Oh, gosh, thank you. Thank you. Now I'm having a hard time finding the share. Here we go. Is that sharing it now?
Yep.
Great. Thanks, Charlie. Her name is Erica. She is a community leader from the 4th communal section of La Gonave. It's actually in the commune of Pointe Raquette, not on Sagale. Her father represented the Ministry of Education on La Gonave and was actually assassinated, I think, about 2 years ago. And it really rocked and shocked pretty this. And so an idea that she and her community came together was to take this library that they had kind of set up just, informally for the community there, and turn it into something much bigger and much more significant. And looks like this. And this was truly a community-led effort, led by Erica and her family, with backing from the local community who put their money and resources together to start this process. They teamed up with Roots and Racine. We gave a first donation supporting the initiative that bought the first 1,000 blocks for the building. It gained the attention of other individuals, folks from the community living abroad, as well as Jerry Tardieu, who's a well-known political figure in Haiti, who came out to the island, who knew her father, who came out to the island and pledged his support and allowed the space to get further along, like you see it here. So, just one of these initiatives, and then later on in the afternoon, visited a second one. This is a community in a different area that started noticing that a lot of residents were dying unnecessarily when they were having accidents, which can happen. But for them to leave the community to get to any sort of medical help was so dramatic and traumatic, and the distance was so great that a lot of folks were dying before they could get to the help. This, impacted the community personally on all the levels you can imagine. And they decided to come together and start, it seems like a huge endeavor, seems daunting, but they knew they could wait for nobody else, rely on nobody else. And so started coming together and said, we're going to build our own clinic in the area. One of the leaders here seen in this photo got his family to donate the land. Folks started bringing their sacks of concrete that they had left over, rebar that they had left over, started donating it. Members of the community started raising funds. And then this community in particular came up with a really creative thing to engage the members of the community that had left and were living abroad. They put together a competition between the different groups of folks living in different places in order to see who could raise the most amount of money for this clinic. So you had folks living in the United States. The US was one team, going against Guadeloupe, going against Mexico, going against Chile, going against Brazil, creating this kind of friendly competition that raised a lot more money. I think this community has raised over $10,000 at this point, in order to start building this construction that you see here now. And we're seeing more and more of this happening on La Gonave. Racine is seeing it. either part of it from its inception or finding out about it afterwards and doing our part, both of us, to kind of promote this, share it, get it out there in order to kind of encourage others and collect support for these activities to help these community-led initiatives. And I'll share one more before I kind of wrap up really, what this means, if to really just drive home how significant these types of things are. Another one, which is pretty significant, is a wharf, a new wharf being built in Ansigale. Most of the goods and people come back and forth between mainland in order to kind of separate the activities and make it a little bit less busy, more sustainable. Also to create other economic activities for the people in this area. And this is an initiative that has backing from the mayor, from other elected officials, and from larger, influential private sector community leaders. And they are literally building, with the support of themselves, the community partners like Roots and Racine, and members of the diaspora, a new wharf in order to strengthen economic activities on the island and basically kind of logistics and administration, right, on the island. Just some shots of when I was down there visiting some of these spaces. And then a final one I was going to show you is a public square. This is a project directly supported through our Volunteers for Change, that group that we work with, multi-year active workshops with them, and then supporting diverse projects that they decide are most important with their communities, in their communities. This is a public square being built in one of the Ansigale. And again, because they are from the community, live in the community, know everybody from the community, they were able to get this land donated. They were able to get a major construction bulldozer lent to them from the mayor's office or a partner of the mayor's office in order to flatten out the area and get this work done, reducing the cost of these projects and just making them that much more doable for less resources and led and owned by the community themselves. So I guess, just to end, this was, flying out the last day over Ansigale, just to give you a sense of the island. This is the most populated area of the island by far. Heading out for about a 20-minute flight back to Port-au-Prince, where I could catch my international flight back to the US. And so really just, to before I open it up for any questions folks may have, just really driving home the key takeaways here, right, for me is that how independent Racine Development has gotten. That's one. I mean, if you think about this was work that was started in a pretty traditional way, right? I mean, without getting into the long story, I was a foreigner, traveled down to Haiti, various different reasons, wanted to give back to the communities that I had met on La Gonave who had received me. I knew that I could connect good amount of resources from the US to them to help them achieve their objectives and project goals. But it was really, I was playing a major role in this, right? I was kind of working with the communities to decide the program, to develop the projects and this and that. And then after a period of time and enough years of experiencing this, realized that it did not make sense from a strategic standpoint, from a sustainability standpoint, for me or any other foreign entity to be leading these efforts. And that they can, even major infrastructure projects can be led by between elected officials, even in the most remote, isolated, challenged parts of a place in Haiti or elsewhere like La Gonave, and how these programs can be handed over and should be handed over. and how much I got a chance to see on this trip again, how far they have expanded, right? How far they've expanded, the impact and the influence and the kind of atmosphere that has been created because this is now being run by Racine, who is of the people that they are serving, who can easily, through that network, find material resources to be donated and to be involved in the project, who sees at any given time what's going on in the community and who's offering this and what projects happening where in order to kind of promote that more and get it spoken about and shared at a greater distance to a larger network. This, I think, really is a model and example that we probably haven't tapped into enough or really kind of been able to document well enough in order to share and hopefully inspire other organizations who are perhaps doing it more in the more traditional model to really show how these things can have a much more significant and sustainable and very really effective of the role that we can play in kind of the helping these organizations, like I said in the beginning, be the best that they are, be the best that they can be, which is basically they can design and lead and implement these programs and projects the best. But all of us need partners to invest in our own capacity, which can be very hard when you're focused on the programs and the projects and not getting that type of support. And that's one of the best roles that we can play. And also allowing a platform like even just today, right, to get these stories out, to get the news of these projects out there, to get them out on social media where there's a lot of folks from La Gonave living abroad who may not be connected to some of these activities. So those are really kind of two key takeaways that I thought was just really, for me, was super inspiring and a reiteration of how powerful the work is and that we're on the right track. And with that, I would love to open it up to some questions. Charlie, if you will, help me with this. I think I see, is it Lynn? Lynn's hand is raised. If you want to unmute yourself and feel free to ask a question. Anybody else, if you want to, I guess that's probably the easiest way for me to recognize that. And Charlie, if you can keep an eye on Facebook, I guess, pull out some questions from there.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for your presentation. My name is Lynn and I live in Haiti. My question is around the municipal development plan that you have, that Racine Development produce kind of drafting. So in your opinion, how do you think that that municipal development plan has changed or can change the main focus axis of Racine development fields of activities? I'm asking that question because I've worked with a lot of organization, a local organization, and also I have supported local authorities. And one of them complaints is that NGOs or other local organization and even international actors, they now refuse to enter into the spirit of the plan that they have, the municipal plan. As you know, there are other regions that have already that plan. So it is a big issue to have kind of external actors who are working in those areas to get to that spirit. And at the end, they say that they are some kind of obligated to accept what the NGO or the international actor is proposing because they are vulnerable, so they don't have any other choices, and the population will not understand that you have refused, for example, and had a support because of a plan. So it will not make sense to them because of course they are vulnerable. They don't have much, so they don't have the choice to choose at the end. So what I want to ask you is, because you were part of this process, so how do you see that plan gonna change somehow or influence your fields of activities? Because I think this is something that should come out of it. Thank you.
Well, sure, absolutely. And I so appreciate your question because it's one of the most exciting things for me that I'm hoping the mayor and the communal development committee and the plan will be able to do together is to kind of rein in some of these NGOs, some of these charitable organizations that are really kind of, I mean, there are schools and clinics being built on La Gonave by foreign entities that the mayor's office does not find out about until they're either almost fully complete, constructed or afterwards. I mean, this is so most likely not legal, but also totally not okay, right? On many different levels. So it is going to be a huge challenge. And one of the reasons is because a lot of times some of these international organizations have larger budgets by far and a lot more resources than these mayor's offices, right, than these elected officials. And so the power dynamic already from the beginning is very tricky. And sometimes, you know, what a mayor or a mayor's office or a local official feels like he can say, you know, to somebody else versus say to that organization is different and difficult. So it is a difficult challenge, but it really depends on the elected official and the folks that are in that power to hold these organizations responsible, right? And the mayor of Ansigalé is very committed to this. It's been something that he's been started to do. And with this tool, now he's got a clearer way to say, this is a plan that was developed not by me as a mayor, but by us, you know, a whole group of representatives of this municipality. This is what we have identified as together as our greatest objectives. This is where we would like, and we need you to help invest in if you're going to work in this commune. So now the tool, this is a tool that will allow him to do that. Now, one of the things that was actually shared, and this kind of question got brought up at the workshops, was the population saying, you know, well, can't you do more to get some of these organizations to follow these objectives? And he said, I can do everything I can, but I'm also just one mayor. And a lot of times I may start doing that, but one of these organizations, one of their projects is directly serving a population, and that population gets upset with me when I start telling this organization that it should stop doing what it's doing there and focus its attention and resources onto something else. So by bringing everybody together and keeping these kind of networks open and these conversations happening, you can get a greater consensus amongst elected officials, local authorities, the population, in order to help each other hold organizations responsible. So that's general. To you asked specifically about Racine and Roots. One of the first things that we did, of course, was read the communal development plan and identify if our work fits the objectives of the communal development plan, and if so, which ones, because there's a set of kind of, I think it's like, I don't know, between 10 and 16 main objectives, which ones they fit so that we can, and which ones, if there are any, do not. And the ones that we primarily support are there are objectives about basically building, finding ways and investing in building up capacity of elected officials, local leaders, community groups, in order to strengthen civil society so they are more empowered and more have the resources and capacity to lead, manage, and maintain development on the island. So, which is the majority of our work. We also get into supporting some projects, but those projects are all identified by those leaders and decided and created and implemented by those leaders, which then it's in their responsibility and interest to focus on, do those projects respond to the objectives that are outlined in the communal development plan. So far, as far as it's Racine and Roots, they're directly in line, but we will, ensure that as we go and as the years pass, that they do stick to that. And we will play a role in helping to gather everybody, bring folks together to have these conversations in order to strengthen the mayor's office, the committee, the population, all of us as a whole, by coming together in order to kind of hold organizations responsible that don't want to focus on the objectives in the communal development plan because they're not in line with what allows them to fundraise most effectively, for example, or not what their leadership has decided they want to do at any given time. Another question, or Charlie, something from Facebook if anybody else? I don't know if I'm missing any hands up. Jump off mute if anybody has a question. I think I see a question here on Facebook from Kenny. Kenny, who is a resident of Lagunav. He says, how has the mayor's office in Ansagale helped Racine out in the projects that we're doing out there? So what kind of partnership do we have with the mayor's office is Kenny's question. So obviously our biggest partnership has been on the communal development plan, in developing that and now implementing that. Another area is the mayor's office. Basically, we are constantly making the mayor's office aware of what we are working on in order to get approval and support from the mayor's office on all those activities that we are doing. The mayor's office is also very involved in the construction of that new wharf. And so we have actually given contributions directly to that committee, that team, in order to support that community-led initiative. So we've got a really strong relationship with the mayor's office. And he is very actively involved in development activities, was in fact involved in the 2 days of workshops that we held about the communal development plan too, which is not, which is what you'd hope for, but is not required and is not always a given. But he did attend that and was able to kind of have this dialogue with the greater population that we were introducing to the communal development plan, or at least giving more details of what is inside of it. Any other questions before we go? I, of course, encourage everyone to continue to follow our work. Make sure that you are on our mailing list. If you're not, you can sign up on the website. Make sure you're following us we are most active on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Check out that online store. Those art pieces are pretty extraordinary. All the proceeds go to supporting Roots of Development's work with Racine on Lagunav in Haiti. And they also are having quite an impact on the artists in Quadabuque. The gentleman, actually, the guys who brought the art to me that first day that I mentioned, shared with me that just our order alone, and they really, they said this because I think it was, they realized the impact of it and they shared it with me, was going to, provide, pocket money to help between 25 and 30 artists, eat for about a week. This is the situation that a lot of these artists are in right now in Quadabuque because of the circumstances and conditions. So just, not even part of our program or plan, right? Our Twawosh Dife activity, but a way that all our work and your support directly and indirectly have an impact on a lot of people's lives at a very, very challenging time. And if that is it, it is 4 o'clock. No further questions. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope it was of interest. Please, if you have any feedback about us doing this, was the first time we did a kind of post-trip report. We wanted to just keep everybody updated and informed, realizing, how important you are to us and how important it is for you to be informed and updated on all of the stuff that is, that we share regularly, but also the kind of deeper layers to the work that we do, which all of us involved in are super proud of. But send us feedback to make this, more interesting and more effective, or do it in a different way in the future. And I hope that, at least Luino or another member of the Racine team can join us again for another one of these in the future. Thank you all. Take care.